Good morning, guys. Oh, let's see.
I drove down to my parents this morning and then basically been on calls ever since. So just an exciting Friday here.
You're all over.
I am all over. It's a little too much, to be honest.
Okay, let's see. Just posting. All right, so we got 10:32. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. We are recording this time, so I'll be able to send that out once we're done. I think last week was a great conversation. I apologize that it got cut short. It was Casey's meeting and it just bam. After an hour,
I wasn't here and then it
everybody off. So I think this week we're talking about workflows. We're gonna start talking with workflows. You guys can bring live examples. We can collaborate on workflows, show and tell if you have a workflow that's cool. I mean, really anything that deals with workflows, we can about it. We can look at them.
We didn't talk. We can get started by just talking about the new workflow process, the workflow enrollment.
Yeah.
I know that changed just a couple of weeks ago now, I guess. Officially it went live. I know a lot of people have not been super happy with that change. So now when you go into workflows, it starts asking you about what you want your enrollment criteria to be, whereas it previously would ask what objects you wanted to use in your enrollment criteria. I know generally I've been hearing negative feedback online, but squeaky wheel gets people tend to share negative feedback more often than positive feedback. So I guess how are people feeling about it? Just like how are the people here feeling about it? I guess is my question. I like it. I feel it feels like a hot take.
I have a love-hate relationship with it. I think for me personally, I'm still getting used to it, and I'm finding it hard to find some of the things, the triggers that I'm looking for. So for me, at least, I am struggling a little bit, but I know I'll get there. I just don't like change very much. So at least for me.
Yeah, I know. And I'm often a hater of nav changes and like process changes. The email changes from the past week or so, I am not happy about. But I think for me, like when they released the change to the workflows, they said something to the lines of like it makes it easier to previously if you went to deals and you were trying to use deals is probably a bad example, but just stick with it. If you can try to use an enrollment trigger that wasn't compatible with deals, it just seemed like that didn't exist, or you'd have to start over and pull from contacts or something like that. So from that perspective, I do get it. And I had an experience like that fairly shortly before they rolled out the change, where I was trying to, start a something around probably a lead record, and then I actually needed to use the contact record just because of the contact record's more robust in how many options you have. So I like basically had the specific use case they were solving for happen to me a little before. So
I didn't realize that that was a change that they made, but that sounds great because I'm making workflows where, it could be triggered either by like the company record or the contact record, but oftentimes neither works because reasons. But like I hate having to restart all over again because I started with this object versus that.
yeah, and I'm speaking in like really hypotheticals right now. Why don't I just show my screen? So if you don't know, now when you start from scratch a workflow, it changes here, and you start by asking what will trigger this workflow. They did add this fairly after they had a bunch of negative feedback online. They added this little option down here, trigger and choose eligible records, and then this will take you back to more of a traditional flow where you choose the object first. So if you are struggling, worth starting here. However, I do like that I can choose things here now when a playbook is logged or anything, And what my understanding is like this enables is us to trigger workflows off of more objects. Is because the way the old intro was, like, they could only fit so many objects on there before you're scrolling forever. So my understanding is this is a step towards us having workflows based on like any object. So that is called. I mean, I'm looking at this like I chose I'm surprised at how many like custom objects are actually like in here, but I guess custom objects were part of workflows.
I love that. I guess I missed where they added that at the bottom.
I mean, it's obviously like at the bottom, and it's just a little text link, so it's easy to miss. But is an option now.
I love it. I when they first switched over, I have to admit, when I was in the beta, I did leave the beta for a hot minute to find what I was looking for because I was like, I know exactly where it is on the old workflow. And so, but can't do that anymore. But yeah,
Change is always hard.
it is.
I think my favorite thing, and this is like such a low thing, but like I just clicked out of that workflow and it didn't create a workflow. Like I didn't have to clean up my work, basically. Which is, I mean, I think of personally, like I do HubSpot consulting. So like, it's fairly common that I'm like pretending to make workflows just to like show people things. And I'm always having to go clean up my messes.
I always just forget to put like a description with my workflows, and then I go back and put all the descriptions, or I don't like the naming conventions. I do that a lot. I change the naming convention for us, or adding a description. And then sometimes I just don't even like the descriptions. Yes, untitled workflow with date.
Exactly.
That has been, I don't leave anything untitled. That I for sure. I feel like sometimes like what I think makes sense in my head for a title doesn't make sense for other people though.
What do people use? Like, Marcy, what is your name? What's your standard naming convention for a workflow?
So I usually, because I work for a national preschool, I usually have school name and then kind of like a very brief description of like what the workflow is. Like, perfect example, I'll have like school name, website, and mission call. because that's the flow that everything gets assigned for. Or I'll have like school name location page form or something like that. But I know a lot of people do, depending if like consulting, I'm sure you do maybe like company name, date, and then like a little description.
Well, so I'm working in portals most of the time when I'm building a workflow. So a lot of time, my more recent one has been year. So I would do 2025, then like purpose of workflow. So commonly I'm doing like 2025 operations and then description of what I'm doing. So like it would be 2025 operation, by enrich company name, um, something like that.
Yeah.
Or 2025 sales, create renewals or something.
Matt says, I usually just describe what it does. Yeah. Mine, I think for us, because we have 40 schools, every school has their own workflows. So I have to have it by school name or market. We do a lot of assignments from like our ads, like Facebook ads. So like each school has their own school name dash Facebook ad workflow and things like that. I don't do dates usually in mine just because we don't change them that often. And we don't have, because it's B2C, it's a little different. Now with my B2B freelance, I usually put like I'll name it differently because they are very deal pipeline heavy. So if I'm doing like a welcome sequence for a certain pipeline, I'll put like the pipeline name, the stage, and then what it does to kind of help.
I've always done date in there. I have recently kind of been waffle. I still do it, probably just because change is hard. But I've been waffling on that a little because there are those like you can see the last time it was edited when it was created, like the date in the name is a little repetitive. And now that there are workflow properties, I'm wondering what does that mean? For our naming conventions, now that we have workflow properties, we have list properties, and just this week we have email properties, which are, in my opinion, like the main places I'm personally like enforcing naming conventions. But a lot of those naming conventions could be replaced with properties. So like Marcy, in your example, like you could in theory have a property for school on all of your workflows. But then if the workflow is just like a short description, it makes it harder to find too in other places. So I think there's probably some sort of balance there. Correct, Matt. It's just for marketing emails, not sales emails, I believe.
I believe too. I think I was about to say, I think it's only for marketing emails right now.
I shouldn't have said that with such conviction. I feel less conviction than I than how I said
you're
that.
right, though. I think it is for only marketing emails. I haven't looked into it too much for those, but I believe it's marketing emails. I feel like sales emails sometimes just are forgotten.
What are those? Folders, Alex, I agree. Folders are underrated. I personally, it's me. I feel like folders are underrated because when you click into workflows, it drops you in the all workflows screen. That's my opinion. How are people using folders? Alex, Zara, do you wanna?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we use them for mostly like business units, like marketing, sales, operations, customer success, right? And a lot of, the workflows sometimes cross those different departments, but at least you have the folder and know where to go for the main use case, the origination source of it. It's helped a lot. I think naming conventions is still the most helpful because you're right, it does drop you into the all workflows default view. It's not like the index view. We have like the tabs and all that sort of stuff, right? Where you can save your defaults. So
yeah,
it's got to work a little. Yeah, yeah, it's got some growing pains in it, but better than nothing.
So when you go into workflows, do you go to folders like right away?
Not all the time. I mean, I'm in there all the time, so I already
Yeah.
know what I'm looking for. But
Mhm.
you know, when I'm collaborating with our other team members, yeah, I direct them to the folders right away if they're not fluent in workflow mania.
Because I think
Not-
personally, like when I go in and like clean up an account, I'll get like really into folders for like, the cleanup process. And then once I'm like in there creating workflows and like, in the during the cleanup, I'm really good at folders. I find myself during like the day-to-day stuff, I'm like less good at folders because, and that's just because I like work out of all the workflows. So then I kind of like forget that folders exist. Um, I
I started
agree.
naming my workflows like, we have like an escalation process,
Mhm,
and there's like 4 steps to it, right? Escalation is number 1, assigns things. Number 2, alerts people. Number 3 does this. Number 4 does that. So then it's just the folder. Here's all of the escalations, and it's topic 1, 2, 3, 4. It's all right there, and then the descriptions are very helpful too with that. So you don't have to like put
mhm.
out everything all day long.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of wish it when it opened, I almost wish it opened like this.
Agreed.
So all of HubSpot listens to me a lot, but
They're always listening.
always listening.
All right, I'll go back on mute. Thank you for
I know everybody can come off mute and talk at any time. I'm guilty. I don't use the folders very much. I tried for a while, but it just, I don't know. It's for me, my brain just searches for the workflow that I need. I'm really bad at the folders. Lists, I use the folders, but I'm really bad at using the folders for workflows.
I don't use folders for lists either. I'm just bad all around.
Yeah, I just find it confusing. I mean, for me, I just find the folders confusing. It's like you have to go even deeper to find what you're looking for in the workflows. And for me, my tab, all workflows, comes up just as soon as I go on the workflow page. And then, because I named everything, I know my naming convention. So I just search for what I need and do it that way. And, I'll use the toggle a lot for the on or the off if I just want to see all my on workflows. But I get folder only. Sorry, I'm just reading the comment.
Yeah.
Isn't it a known design concept that people look along the top and then the left side of a screen? I love organizing things in folders. I love that, Matt. Yeah, you guys at any point can come off. You can share your screens. If you have any workflows that you want help with, we can help you with that as well, kind of tell you what we would do. But this is an open discussion, so feel free to come off at mute, ask questions, talk. Instead of just, listening to me and Casey talk the whole time, you guys are more than welcome to join in and ask any questions at all. Let's see. Matt, do you use the folders for lists and workflows in HubSpot?
Yeah, very heavily, and a lot of this sort of stems in part because the most common users are librarians, but because we migrated so much from our old CRM into HubSpot, the CRM that we had for like 15 years before, and now realizing, wow, we did not need to do that at all because so much was saved for metrics purposes, and we can't do metrics the same way in HubSpot as we did in the other one. Anyway, we inherited a lot of lists and a lot of folders, and it's definitely useful to keep things that way, but they are hard to find when they're there on the right. When I first started on HubSpot, I remember having to like look up in the community a couple times. Like, I know this exists. Where is it? Yes.
Agreed. I like how the folders work in lists, though. I don't have so much of a problem. The company I freelance for outside of my daytime job, they are very heavy on lists in their folders, but I always get stuck in a folder and forget I'm in the folder, and then I'll search for something and I'm like, I know this list exists, but then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the folder. That's why I can't find it. I feel very similar to like the workflow folders too. I always forget I'm in a folder.
Mhm.
Do the folders now, like, I feel like there's some sort of like list access permissions that they rolled out, I saw recently. Am I just making that up? Where you can,
I think you're right. I think was that a beta, Casey, that they came out with for the list permissions?
There is, to be honest, I was a little confused by what this meant.
Let's see. I'm
You
trying
can, is this what you're talking about? Well, I'm not sharing my screen, sorry. Not helpful. And export workflow enrollments into lists, is this?
no, I thought it was like a permission to view certain lists versus other lists.
Yes, lists specifically. Sorry, yeah, I think there is.
In which case, folders would be very useful if we did that. We don't, but like I can see that being a useful
so
way
you
to
can
manage that.
You can manage access to lists. You can make lists private to you, everyone, or you can select specific users and teams now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. I try to keep
Do other people have users that just keep on thinking of lists, even though what they really want is a view?
Yes.
Like,
well,
I've
so
started just calling views lists to like, fine, I'm going to speak your language.
I just talked about this morning. I am trying to do better at like, yes, views are index pages. Yeah. I'm trying to do better at when because I'll do that sometimes. I'll pull a list when really I'm just trying to like, oh, I think I got lost. I'll hold and hopefully I didn't get an embarrassing. Okay, am I back?
Yeah.
I think I got lost for a second. I will pull lists when really I'm just trying to like find out how many contacts are like in a specific filter, which a view is actually, or an index page is actually a better use case, because when I create a list, then I have to clean up the list. It takes longer to process things like that. The problem is, yes, advanced filtering in the index page is limited. So that is sometimes frustrating. There was an update today around help desk being able to filter your help desk tickets by associated contacts. I think that means that soon we will be able to filter our index pages by associated records too, which for me is one of the big limitations. I don't work for HubSpot. I can't promise anything, but the fact that we're able to do it in the help desk makes me believe that that will be coming other places. So keep an eye out for that.
That's a great one. Hold on. I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Okay, Allie wrote, does anyone have a way to maintain the health of your workflows? I feel like as I make them when I need something and may contain as little as one action, that eventually there may be some that can be intertwined together. This also would help reduce a whole page worth of workflow and list activities on a record. Allie, do you want to talk a little about that? Like,
sure. I know, like, we've been using HubSpot now for like a year. I've been active probably more like the 9 months, but like as there might be something that's not as intricate as like a whole deal comes in, or trying to like work a prospect through certain actions or something. But more just as simple as like, let's say like a record every time, like filling out that their company name matches this, or that their industry matches the same as the company's, or any kind of instance like that where you're just doing that. Well, I wind up with like one, and then I create another one because like old rules used to be that it couldn't be together. And then now they might be able to, or as things and updates change, now I have all these like 5 different workflows that just might be an action to basically update a record. Is there a way that like anybody, or how often you kind of audit those lists and see if maybe some of them now can be combined into one, and then kind of figuring out like what is that top enrollment that will be able to make these multiple actions? So you're not just like for example, like if a contact's company, associated company's industry is known, update the industry property on the contact record. But then I also want to be like, if that industry fits within this sector, then they get added to this list. But then the top enrollment had to do with a company record. And there might be ways like maybe I can change that up. But basically, is there any way that people are auditing instead of just keep adding and adding and adding more lists for things that might be able to be combined?
I don't know of a way to like automatically audit other than like, best practice I think would be to audit your active workflows every quarter, is probably what I would say. But if anyone else has a better answer than that.
Alex put property sync fields. Ken, I said I tried integrating several related workflows into one, but some became a mess to maintain now.
I do think you bring up an interesting point, Allie, around that. And I've kind of waffled in my career around how big a workflow should be, like, and like that example, George B. Thomas, one time I asked him this, and he said that he tries to do single action workflows. So he'll do more workflows, but each workflow does less. So rather than having each workflow check all the, like, if industry value is known on companies, copy that to the record. And then if the industries are any of these things, the contact, copy that to the contact. And then if industries are any of these things, do this other thing. And I've been trying to follow this the best I can since, but I would keep them separate, even if the actions can be done together, because that makes it easier to diagnose when there's a problem. So if someone doesn't get added to the list properly, for example, in your example, Allie, if it's a bigger workflow, it's harder to figure out like what went wrong, why it didn't get added, versus if it's an individual workflow, then you're just seeing, okay, they didn't get enrolled in that workflow. Why didn't they get enrolled? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it'd probably be almost easier too with the one that I've been working with even just this morning or this last few days, trying to really reduce or automate a lot of like contact forms that come in, that because we get a lot of like spam submissions that are like, hey, we'll build your link building and stuff, or like there's certain keywords that come in that I want that to like then go into this and then check all these properties off of the record, or other ones that are certain other things. And if they contain this, do that. And I've been like really trying to make it into one that maybe I don't need to just overthink it.
Yeah, I would think about breaking it out. What I like, a rule of thumb for me is like, okay, you have one if then branch in your workflow. That's fine. That's going to happen. Once you start adding that like second if then branch, then I start to question, should this be a second if then branch, or should this be its own workflow? And then once I get to my third if then branch, then I'm definitely like, okay, this workflow has too many moving pieces, and this should be segmented into its own.
You can also enroll. You can also like in what I do sometimes is if it's like different steps, but you want them different, you can, go through in your example, Allie, like, okay, if it's this, tag it at this, and then enroll in another workflow if it's this to put into a list, or just like kind of tie it that way, but then it's separate workflows too. I often have some workflows that can't be tied together, but I'll like name them step 1, step 2, step 3, so that way I know, but then also if somebody else is looking at it, they can be like, oh yeah, this is step 1, there is a step 2 to follow as well.
That's where that name comes into to help.
Yeah.
I'm auditing a portal right now that has like step 1, step 2, and so on. Actually, it's one of the phrasing on it is 1 of 2 or 1 of 3, and so on. And that's been helpful for me auditing the account because I'm able to easily say like, okay, all of these workflows are part of a single like process.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Especially when you're new to a portal or you've got somebody coming in and, when we started, I was like 1 of 2 people that were doing anything major in HubSpot. And now we've got like 4 or 5 that can make changes to workflows. And so it's, it gets a little chaotic there. So yeah, it's a good idea.
I wish workflows allowed, this might make people crazy, but I wish workflows allowed more than, 20 branches sometimes, because like I have workflows where they're based off a school name and we have more than 20 schools. So I have to like separate them into 2 different workflows by their school name. And so it would just be so nice if I could just have all of them in one workflow to say, send this text message to this one, send this text message to this one. But instead I have to break them out into 2. And once we start adding more schools too, I'm going to have a 3rd one because I've maxed out my 2 already.
I've been overthinking things. Trying to
U.S. states are another one.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about doing that, and there's a whole bunch more contact maintenance I want to do too. But and then I was going to try to put it in one, but now I think I'll just do it separate.
There's a balance there. Like for a while I have a client whose sales team changes a lot. And every time their sales team changes, we're changing the routing workflows. And I've waffled between whether each region should have its own workflow or whether all sales routing should go through one workflow. I don't have I think it's all personal opinion. I personally right now am liking having it all in one workflow because it makes it easy for me and my brain to see which person it got routed to. But
I have a workflow like that, Casey, and I have it in one. And then I have each branch as like the region. So all the Midwest states are in the Midwest branch, and all of the Pacific are all in one branch. And so, yeah, I have a workflow exactly like that. And I have it all in one. That way I don't have to look in 2 different workflows if someone goes down the wrong path, and then we have like a branch just for Canada. So.
Sorry.
Somebody
can hear.
No, you're fine. I think some of these are just kind of personal preference of like what makes sense in your brain, because what makes sense in my brain doesn't necessarily make sense in somebody else's. So I use the none met branch to know if I have new rep to add. Yeah. I mean, and that's always a topic of conversation, I feel like, between HubSpotters is what do you do with the none branch or the none met branch? For me, depending what kind of workflow it is, I have a notification that comes to me that this person went down the none met branch when they shouldn't have. And so that gives me the prompt to go check, well, why did this person not qualify for my other branches? Why did they get pushed over here when I know they should have gone over here? What is that?
Yeah, I'll also sometimes add people to static lists if they go into the none met, and then do just like a monthly audit of everyone that was in none met. Just depends on like how urgently you need to check the none met.
That's a good idea too, adding them on a list. Yeah, for sure. I have a Slack set up for none met branch. and I list the link to the workflow and what the reason is they hit that branch. That's a great idea. And then I regret getting those.
Well, Kenneth, that's why I set the static list up, because I found like myself getting burnt out from the notifications. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an actually really good idea, Casey. I might have to change mine to
But it depends. Yeah. It depends, obviously, like if it's a lead routing workflow and then suddenly it took a month for the contact to get to the proper owner because I didn't check it.
I was thinking that might be good for my nurture campaign workflows instead of, because right now I get an email notification, because on my nurture campaign workflows that I have, they're pretty complex, but everyone should be going down a branch. No one should be going down the none met branch in my nurture campaign. But if they do for whatever reason, that would be good to put them on a list and figure out why they went instead of getting email notifications, because they do get a little overwhelming sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah. Allie, I know you had another question about Breeze intelligence in workflows, and selfishly, I saw Nico jumped on, who I would send any AI question to. So, Allie, do you want to ask that to the class, and then see if anyone has feedback?
Yeah, like for example, I wanted to play with kind of like the one example where I was talking about, like if a form submits this, if this, then that. And I want to kind of like prioritize ones that are an ideal match, for example. And I know that there's like the AI option in there to do like infer company value proposition and ICP for, and but then, okay, it does it, where does it go? How does it be used? Does it create a note or whatever? And I don't know how to pull that property in next, or if I can use it somewhere later down the line. That kind of makes sense.
I believe it's a text value that then you can ask it to be placed into a property. Is that I haven't tested it though, but that's how some of the other ones work, is you ask AI Breeze something. However, let me just bring up a portal.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Some of ours just autofill, but let's see, was wanting to play with.
So is this the Breeze intelligence enrichment?
Yeah, or even like, because I haven't played or used any credits yet. I'm still trying to find like ways, because I don't want things that are like not, I need to make sure like spans not being used first before I start having things auto enrich and use credits. But like I saw this infer company value proposition and it didn't seem like it used any. Or I might be wrong, but anyhow, even if I like add that in there and it's based on like the domain of the website, so I enter a domain, but then I don't know how to grab that as like the next step. So
has anyone used any of these? I guess is my real question.
I haven't used that one, but I've used the Ask Breeze, but I stopped using it because it just never gave me the input that I wanted to do in a workflow, and so I kind of stopped doing it.
Yeah, so I knew Ask Breeze, then it returns as an action output, and then you can set the action output into a property later.
So like
yeah, I don't know why.
Thank you. No, you're good. They really didn't make this too like user friendly, to be honest with you. So like action outputs, right? So you in order to use, I wouldn't say altogether, but in order to really make use of Ask Breeze, you kind of have to be familiar a little bit with custom coded actions. If you're not, just use Claude or GBT and you'll be fine. Essentially what you're going to do is you're going to ask Breeze something, whatever it is you want to do, enrich about the record, doesn't matter, right? And you can use this for a number of things. You can do it to research companies. You could do it to fill in record data. You could do it to, write email content for you. You could do it for, like, one of the things I've used it for is it takes, I'll send like non-identifiable contact information to, as whatever, to Breeze or to GPT plugin or whatever, and ask it to write nurture emails based specifically around like those custom properties, right? And then you can have it bring back, so you can insert data variables and you can have it bring back that data. But when it comes back as JSON. So basically you need to pick that up in a custom action afterwards. And the input for that custom action is going to be the output of the Ask Breeze module. I know it's super simple, right? Basically, add Ask Breeze, do whatever you need to do there, add a custom coded action after that, and then the input for the custom coded action is the output from the Breeze action.
So here's a how did you hear about us? It takes the open text response of how did you hear about us and groups it into one of these categories.
Okay.
And its open response has the how did you hear about us field. Then
so in between that selector or in between the branch, you need to have a custom coded action.
That is like normalized.
Because you're trying to place it into a property on the record, right?
Nico, Chris built this. This feels like a Chris.
Yeah, see how he's doing set referral name as response there. So it's based on that action prior to it. So you can you might be able to, I guess that would be awesome if you can use edit record and just use set.
So I think this branch is set by the value of the Ask Breeze output. Yeah.
Right.
So he had.
So right in between there, put a edit record. And
then
I
see what you're
type
saying.
Contact. Yeah. And then you should be able to scroll below that. Let's see.
Don't I want to set that based on the response?
Yeah. So where it says, scroll down. There you go.
Response. It's not compatible because it's a
with
text
the type of field you're trying to put it into.
Yeah. So in theory you could, but it's not a compatible field. So that's why he added the branches. But
they did that.
So
all
if
of that to say,
text field that then goes into, like, if I put like ICP,
if it was a text field, yeah, exactly.
It just has to be the same type. So text to text, number to number.
Okay, I'll fill that.
So if you did so the response would just be available there in a text field. Cool. Did that answer your question, Allie, or did we make it more confusing?
At least a step further.
I think, Nico, did you and Chris do a show building one of these?
No, not
okay.
anything with that yet. I should play around with it. I don't know. It's tough to be involved in all of it at the same time. And I'm not in platform as much every day as I used to be. So I try to do stuff on the weekend, but it's also a matter of like what you're going to use it for, I guess. Like that always drives my decision-making process in terms of like, which tool am I going to start out with, or like what tool am I going to use to do what? So yeah, most of the time it, like the Ask Breeze thing, I don't know yet. And I haven't done the comparison, but I will just to find out, because Ask Breeze is $1 per ask. So, or I think, what is it per Yeah, it's still $1 per record enrichment, right? It's 1 credit per.
The credit thing, I'm so confused about.
Yeah, I think
It's actually, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like if you
Yeah.
think about it in terms of Dave and Buster's, it makes perfect sense. No, seriously, like you're giving real money and you get credits back, and then it's credits per action, right? And that makes it honestly a lot better than what they were going to do, which was that like whole tiered system or whatever, because now it's actually usage based as opposed to being like, oh, you have to be in a particular tier. So yeah, I mean, $1 to enrich a record. I know it seems ridiculous, right? But we're talking about enterprise. We're talking about at scale.
Yeah. So
if
it's
you
10
knew what you were-
credits per record,
Okay,
10
that's
credits
not
per
bad.
enrichment. And then, yes, I think you're right. I think that
Yeah.
math is $1.
Yeah, so that's actually not bad. That's about the scale I was thinking of. Because like,
Mhm.
if you were making a call to like GPT Nano, it would probably end up costing you the same amount, maybe. So it's actually a really good deal. The credit system that they run. Again, I think it honestly depends on who's behind the wheel of the thing. Only because like that design matters, right? How you design that flow very much matters. I don't know how many records are going through like that workflow, right? But you have like 8 branches or something like that, depending on what it is. And if somebody like mistakenly enrolls or something, like there goes all your credits, right? So yeah, it really it depends on what you're building, and it absolutely depends on who's building it and the logic that you're doing behind it. Like spend all the time. Like if ever flowcharts were important, now they are more important than ever. Like your flowchart should be absolutely just like platinum before you even touch working on workflows with AI stuff.
And I think that I sent the credit stuff. It's because it's not 1-to-1 exactly. But I'll send I sent a bad link for the pricing if you're interested. The second link for pricing will actually work. Any other workflow woes people have today? Or successes? What do they call it in the boot camps? There's like potholes or
hot
something.
takes.
Hot takes.
Let's see. I just did this. It's hot take,
Hidden gem.
hidden gem, and potholes, or big win, hidden gems, and potholes.
There you go. Anyone have any of those for workflows, but also for anything else? You're allowed to.
Yeah. Let's try to pick a topic so we can stay, but we can talk about anything. Last week's AI conversation went really well. I think, even though we got cut off, I think a lot of people were interested in that and learned a lot too. I believe because of Nico.
Oh, that's cool. It's actually the same price across the board. So it's 9/10 of a penny, regardless of which tier you get. Which makes sense. Again, it's like usage based.
And some plans there's some credits included, at least for right now. Like that's not expected to be forever. So also use them while you have them.
Yeah, I think some come with like 100 credits. I want to say the people I freelance, they get some credits free every month.
If you have a Seats one, if you have a Seats subscription, because actually I was auditing a portal and I was like, there's no credits in here, and they don't have a Seats a Seats subscription at this point. It's fine.
Yes, Hidden Gems, Lions Roar. Got it, Kenneth. I should have known that. I just did boot camp not that long ago. Yeah. Anybody have any other questions or want to show anything?
I guess I have a question, and it was someone was talking about it actually in the Sprocketeer about like tagging records, having like a tags system, which I guess would be just a enumeration property, right? But we have in our when we migrated, we had too many tags to fit in a property, and we are just using a free text property to tag things. Does anybody else have? And the other reason is because we don't want to we like the idea of people being able to create new tags as they go, and that's not really possible unless they have access to the the property settings, right? And we don't want to grant that to everybody. Does anybody else like use any sort of like tagging system like that, so your users can sort of put their own words like on records to categorize things?
I don't have any open text ones. Like all of mine would be drop down select fields. To your point though, then either you have to give them access to edit the properties, or you would they would have to ask you every time they want to tag something differently. I do wonder how like that ask breeze action, like actually the example I just gave, the problem with as you know, the open text field is if someone titles something as workflow versus workflows with an S, then suddenly they're not getting categorized together.
Exactly. We have
So
lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Hodgkin's lymphoma, like, and those are all different things, and sometimes there's typos, and like there's all sorts of yeah.
That gives me anxiety, letting people make their own tags.
I know.
Be all over the place, at least in where I work. It'd be a nightmare.
Yeah. And said using notes. But yeah, I wonder if like an ask breeze action could help categorize those better. You would still have to set the like drop down select properties. But I think you could, closed loss reason is a common case where this happens, where you set the closed loss reasons, and then in the best of times, you're reviewing those others details and identifying new closed loss reasons that should be added later on. So I'm wondering if something like that, like almost having categories, but having an other and then having like details on your other category would be a better use case.
Yeah, that's what we do for loss close. We have selections, like certain ones, and then if they choose other, they can know what that other is, but we have specific ones that they can choose for why they lost the deal.
Yeah, for single line text is chaos for reporting and sorting and everything. So if you can maybe even, have some main categories that you can sort from or something, and then the single line text for more detail.
So at this point, it's kind of odd because for me, it's almost the reverse, because now you have the capability and you have an engine that you can use in order to infer the single line text data. I've actually been telling clients to like not ignore single line text and to actually like put them in where they matter and where people are going to express something to you, mainly because again, that's non-identifiable information. So in terms of like a form, right now I like to structure forms so that all the personal identifiable information is at the very top, and then all the statistical information and qualitative information is at the bottom. And that makes it very easy to just take that bottom data, go into either your Claude or your Team GPT account where, it's not going to train the model, and be able to ask it. You can like query the model, the questions about that data, but also you can tell it, give me a CSV of the most common whatever found in this data, whether it's industry, whether it's title, whatever, doesn't matter. You can get top 10 lists, top 20 lists, literally doesn't matter. Really, that's one of the key ways in which you can take advantage of this technology to take data that used to be stubborn to deal with and actually turn it into useful data.
That's so cool. And like, we just have to change the way we think about everything, because I don't like, you just said that. I was like, how would we do that? And then you explained it. I'm like, well, duh, that makes it, perfect sense, but we don't think about it that way. We're so, ingrained in what works for us now that you really have to take a step back. And especially with all this AI, it's so much we can do. That it's just really cool. Like, thanks for bringing that point of view. I like that.
Yeah. One of the top things I tell people is, it knows everything. So whenever you feel stuck, talk to it as if you would anyone else, right? And it's great, even like dipping your toes in and using AI. A lot of people think it's very difficult and there's something to prompting and all that kind of thing. Jenny, you hit the nail on the head. It literally is just mindset. It's the way you think about it. It's the way you approach a question, right? All that curiosity and the way that you were from when you were a kid, like bring all of that back, that whole Socratic method of thinking. And instead of approaching the problem from, hey, I need to do this, approach it from, how would you best solve for this?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now you're getting a completely secondary opinion without the context of you're the goal you're trying to attain, right? Or at least in the way you're trying to attain it. Because if you work forward, you're automatically narrowing the scope of the possibilities of solutions that the model is going to give, because now it's like, oh, you're working within this parameter. Okay, you gave me this parameter. Now it's this parameter. Now it's this. Okay, now I have to solve the problem within this column of parameters. Versus saying like, hey, how would you solve for this? And it's like, wow, okay, so I have all of this stuff. Let me take a look at everything here and figure out what the best thing is. And that's what they're amazing at. They're amazing at being able to take plethora of data and figure out the most efficient, the best, the top method, or whatever it is.
One of my favorite ways to build a workflow nowadays is, so I bring ChatGPT or Hub Helper Harry specifically. Thank you, Nico. The problem that I'm trying to solve, I use ChatGPT to build the workflow, like build the steps, build the properties, figure out what all that is with ChatGPT. And then at the end, I'm able to ask them to write a description about the workflow, which is way better than the auto-generated ones from HubSpot, because it does know what I'm trying to solve. It's not pulling from like list 1, 2, 5, 7. It's like, this is the purpose. And then also I'm able to communicate that with the client, because I'm able to use the same thread to explain what we did with the client.
That's a great idea, Casey, with the descriptions for your workflows.
Mm-hmm. It's worth using Hub Helper Harry to build your workflow just for the description piece.
Like
awesome.
that, or I got bored yesterday.
This is gonna be stupid.
I do this a lot where like I'll build apps for whatever solution I need, because I really hate I hate having to I don't know, either like pay to go use an app to do what it is that I want to do, or anything along those lines. So I basically just made a mermaid based like Lucidchart app, basically, where you can just generate the charts and those cool little flow lines too. So at least when you're doing presentations, it kind of looks cool to people. And like highlights so people don't lose where you're at or something. I'll change it up, of course, but
very cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was just like it's one of those things where like, okay, if you understand Mermaid, you can easily go to chat and say, go to chat and say, with not the highest thing. Can you create me a mermaid script that would depict a flowchart for lifecycle stages from subscriber through evangelist with lead statuses and potential inputs for contacts, as well as touch points and where nurturing should happen? Oh yeah. Make it vertical.
Make it vertical.
I'm getting there. It was like 10 minutes to
Oh, it's just
do
funny.
that.
Make it.
But like, again, like people, it's just like we were saying about how to solve for the one problem. It's like, think about it from a completely different standpoint. If you know the data that you want and you just need to like go display it, of course you're gonna make me look bad. Great. Oh, okay. All right, let's see. Maybe it was GBT.
I love just sending
Yep.
GBT my errors and fix
Yeah,
it.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, it didn't work. And it's like, okay, but like keep going, because it's not like it won't figure it out. It will. It's just a matter of like prompting it.
Whenever I use it to make a formula and then I get an error from the formula, I'm like, this is my formula error. Fix it.
Yeah, I was actually, Nico, after last week's call, I went through and I spent like a day and a half and I worked with ChatGPT on building custom code for a workflow. And it took that long to, really, because I was learning how to speak to it and I'm not super fluent in code. So, we had to kind of talk back and forth and get to it. But I mean, we got it working and I would send all my errors and it would figure that out. And I'm like, nope, we've already changed that. I have to have it this way. And then, and it works now. And it was so cool because it's like, it's a complete another employee to work with and, bounce your ideas off of. And I don't know, it was so eye-opening. It was really, really cool.
That's what's awesome to me is like the aspect of it being another person, right? Like just another assistant that you can work with, right?
Yep. And how many times with our jobs, we have to, you just want to talk it out with somebody to make sure, okay, does this logic make sense?
Yep.
And, but you don't have to have another actual employee to do it. You can just say, okay, this is what I have. Does this make sense? Do you foresee any errors happening because of this? And so it's really cool. Like, I don't think it's, people say AI is going to take people's jobs. It's not taking jobs. It's enhancing our jobs and helping us with our jobs.
It really is. Like, if I'm not gonna lie, even if I lost my job tomorrow, I'd have another job within 2 weeks and it would be my own company.
Yeah.
And it would probably be some type of software platform and I'd be pushing out HubSpot style software that you all would be buying within weeks. Stuff like this, right? And it takes me like no time to throw this together. And I don't know what Lucidchart costs, but I don't care. It's like I can throw this together and offer it to people at half the cost immediately, right? And just make it completely HubSpot centric. I don't have to care about any other platform. If I want other platforms, I just make it Zapier friendly, right? Yeah. Like it's all too easy to like dip your toes into this stuff. And like when people are just like, oh, it's going to take my job or whatever. It's like, it won't if you understand how to work with it to help it make you better, right? Like that's the whole point is like, it's not supposed to replace you. It's supposed to make you better at your job. So yeah, I mean, like there's the whole thing of like, oh, well, it could do this thing better than people or whatever. It's like, yeah, but when it comes to marketing, the crux of marketing has always been psychology. And psychology has always been a pseudoscience, meaning that it cannot be exactly measured in any way whatsoever. It's fluid. So you have to have humans in the mix. It doesn't do any good to attempt to just throw. I mean, we've seen what it's like, with movies, summer blockbusters every year. Then we have our, spring TV shows every year, right? Fall TV shows every year. And okay, for that kind of stuff, we're used to it. But other than that, we don't really want everything templated all the time. We want the little nuances. We want the little change. We want something to feel like it was made for us, right? Machines can copy stuff really well all day long, and they will. Like, will a machine ever be able to create a sonata that makes people cry? Yes, music can do that, but music is based on math. It's different, right? Like, different fields require different base structures in order to make them what they are. Like, same with baking, right? That'll always be perfect because baking is based on chemistry, measured outcomes, right? Cooking, on the other hand, cooking's different. My barbecue is a little bit different from your barbecue because I put a little bit extra something in it, or I didn't follow the recipe. I went off script. I put Coke in mine, or I put, Pepsi in this one, or I put cherries, or I put vermouth, or whatever it might be, right? Like, everybody likes something a little bit different. I was explaining to people yesterday that I've seen like award-winning, like seriously stack up award-winning barbecue champions. They'll go around the country and they'll lose about half their competitions badly. And it's because the people in those states and those cities have a different palate. Got nothing to do with the fact that they do what they do perfectly. They follow their recipe, they follow the rules, it's all perfect. Doesn't matter. All right.
I love that. That was a great analogy.
Thank you, Nika.
We're 7 minutes over. People are dropping
Thank
like flies. Nico, you just need to join every week.
I try to join this back half. I've got a team meeting at work that runs until 12, so I try to get in as soon as I can.
We'll just talk to your employer and say we need Nico here the whole time.
Good luck.
For everyone that's still here, we probably won't after Horse and Nico.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm guessing we won't meet. I don't think we'll meet next week. It's July 4th in the US. But then we'll be back. And then I think it's worth, also, Marcy, you and I can talk offline, but I think it's worth taking a look at if this time works well for everyone too. So any feedback on topics, any feedback on timing, happy to hear it.
Yeah. Send me or Casey a message, or together. Find us on LinkedIn, whatever. If you guys don't follow Casey,
Or your pigeon.
all over the place, and she does great. She spits out lots of great HubSpot content. So,
and follow Nico. He does a lot of AI content. If you find this helpful, he has many shows, weekends, Fridays, all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Have a great holiday next week, and we'll see you the week after.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.